1 minute. Yes, begin. You talk like that or not? There you go. Okay.
For the first time in over 45 years, the University College of the Cayman Islands is having a homecoming gala dinner on October 28th. The event highlights the kickoff of the UCCI Alumni Network, a community of professionals helping the university and one another. If you're a UCCI grad, join the network today and let your fellow classmates know about it. Visit ucci.edu.ky/alumni and come give us a hand with UCCI's first ever homecoming.
And good afternoon and welcome to Straight Talk. This is your Drive at 5 show. I am Catherine Tyson, your host. Good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining me. This afternoon, it has been a great summer. We are back in studio now, and it feels good. It feels good to be home. Got a chance to take a little, little vacation, I guess it was called that. And even no matter what the circumstances are, to get yourself an opportunity to leave the island, you get a chance to breathe. We've been going through so much with this pandemic, and just no sign of stopping. So it was kind of good to be away and just be with your family members, and sending love to my Jamaica family. And thank you guys so much for taking such good care of me. And just happy to have such extended people in the world that love you here and abroad. So appreciate that very much. And so we're here now back in studio. Today is our generally our Hot Topics Tuesday. We will talk a little bit about some topics, but I do have a guest, and I'm excited that I've been joined this afternoon by Mr. Sean Ebanks. Hi, Sean. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming. Sean, generally, I like to highlight my young Caymanians on Thursdays. But since it's been so long since we've been in the studio, it's been, I don't know, maybe 5 or 6 weeks. It just feels like forever. We took the summer break. And so I decided, you know what? It's all right if I bring two Caymanians this week. So maybe I'll bring one on Thursday. I'm going to bring one on Tuesday. We're trying to talk about some hot topics today, too. But, I just thought, let me bring someone in. And so you graciously agreed to join me. So thank you so much for that.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah, for sure. So, Sean, okay, now you are, let's talk a little bit about you. You are a part of a family business, right? So I want to talk a little bit about just you being a part of this business since you are a young person, right? So Sean Ebanks, his family's business is SICA, Cayman Islands Customs Agency, and that's been around for quite some time. Tell us a little bit about the business a little bit, and then we'll talk about kind of just how long you've been involved and, what's going on with your company and yourself.
Yeah, sure. Well, we started in 1994, so quite a while ago before I started working. And it was just like a little mom and pop shop right by the airport post office. And it started as a customs broker. And you would just go in there and bring your documents, go right next door. Get your stuff cleared at customs. So that's how it started. And then it grew into something much, much bigger.
Yeah.
By the time I got involved, it was quite sizable. So it's still family operated today, which is surprising considering how large we've gotten. But it feels good as well to know that it is still family operated, despite being in business for 27, 28 years. um, and going forward into 30, 32, et cetera, you know, and
Right.
keeping that family unit together then.
Of course, yeah. And your mom and dad are kind of at the helm, right? I think your dad was originally a customs. He was in the customs department, right,
Mhm.
for a long time.
Yep.
Yeah, Alfred Ebanks.
Yeah, over 20 years.
Yeah.
I think he was lined up to actually go for either like a deputy collector position,
Okay.
and at that point, I think he had just decided to start the company, so he
Okay.
just went with that route and stuck to it.
Yeah, and I guess being a part of that department, he was able to see a need, right? In terms of because the business is very similar to what he did for 20 years, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I think after seeing so many things come in, and then you realize, like, wow, everything that everyone owns, regardless of whether you purchase it through retail or online, or I guess back in the day you could have it in your back, you know, suitcase before there was anything like Amazon. The need was always there.
Right.
So you go to somebody's house, everything you see required that action because
Right.
we don't make anything here.
Right.
Everything gets imported. So he definitely saw the demand there and
Yeah.
kind of clicked. You know,
Yeah.
like, oh, hey.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that, and I think that is a really a great example for someone that's interested in starting their own thing. Being an entrepreneur, because that's where it's at these days. Just being creative, starting your own thing, seeing a niche market or seeing a need
Mhm.
and trying to fill a need. Yeah, and that's kind of an example of what he did around that time. And then now here we are in 2021. It's still going now. I want to talk a little bit about some of the challenges, some of the what you guys have experienced, obviously, since last year to now, because it would have been affected as well as how the community was affected. But let's get you kind of telling us a little bit about how you kind of just flowed almost into the family business. I think like you literally were there like as a teenager, right?
Yeah, it was. I started when I was, I mean, from the time I was like 8 or 9, we
Yeah.
were filing and making photocopies because after school we would go straight there, and it's
Yeah.
like if you're not playing out in the parking lot, you're inside doing some kind of work or
Right.
reading a book or something. So I was always around.
Right.
Officially, I started working as like a delivery driver. I used to just take envelopes.
Yeah.
You know, back when we still printed invoices, you would hand deliver it to somebody.
Cool. Okay.
Yeah, so it started there, and then I grew all the way up. Started running the warehouse, the trucking department,
Yeah.
customer service. Then I got more into the software side,
Yeah.
and yeah, at this point now, it's more about operations,
Yeah.
developing those operations.
Yeah.
So I've been there from the start.
Yeah.
basically,
And your siblings as well.
Yeah, them too.
Yeah.
Yeah,
them too.
Yeah, they're still there. My brother, he stepped away a little bit, which I think was good. It's healthy to step away for a moment.
Right.
But we're always within reach. Anytime anyone needs anything, it's like, hey,
Right.
can you add this to this thing? Yeah, sure, no problem.
That's great.
Regardless of whether they're currently officially employed, it's like that's the great thing about it being
Yeah.
a family business and a family unit is having that opportunity.
Yeah. You know what I love about Sika? Honestly, like your company, and I'm not just saying it because you're here in front of me. What I love about it, I think, is that I can actually like go next to the warehouse and like see, like if I utilize the company for anything, like I order something and it comes in and you guys are handling it, and then I go and pick it up, like I actually can see what's happening. Like I actually like that. Like sometimes when you go to some companies and they go in the back and you don't know what's happening, like I actually prefer to see some of the things. And I know you have an office space, but you can actually come out of the office and see, like the guys that are moving around. Is it a forklift that they're?
Yeah. Forklift,
yeah. So I don't know why, it just feels very personal for me, and I like that. Do you think you pride yourself in like a personal service like that?
We definitely do. It's been like that from the start, where we knew that ordering something or importing something does have a touch of it can be cold at times, especially when you have issues. So it is nice to have that extra touch of just like warmth and charm, and also transparency, which is great because it is ideal for someone to know and be able to see it. oh,
Right.
those are my packages on that shelf. I can see
Exactly.
them already,
Yeah,
and how
Yeah.
we handle it, the way that we bring it down, the way that we put it into your car,
absolutely.
all that stuff counts.
Yes.
So we definitely strive to have that sort of charm to the company as well.
Yeah, and that must be like a plus for your business as well, because you do have competition,
Hmm,
and
definitely.
and I feel like competition, there's nothing wrong with it. I think that there's enough for all of us. That's what I think. I know there are some people who want everything, but you can't have everything. Like, it's okay to share, some of it. There's enough room for us to all kind of thrive and succeed, right? Don't you
Absolutely.
think?
There's so much in this industry. There's so much market share to go around.
Right.
It's definitely not saturated. And even if someone offered me the idea of having a monopoly on it, I wouldn't take it.
Right.
No way.
Sounds
That would be
sounds like
insane.
too much,
That
right?
would be insane.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you want a balanced life. So when you try to scoop up everything, sometimes you find that you're not winning, actually.
Yep,
Yeah, you
for
think
sure.
you are, but you're not. So let me ask you, with kind of being born into a business like that, because you weren't born into the business. Obviously, they started in 1994, but you were young at that time.
Mhm.
So when you kind of grow up into a situation where this is my family business. I'm there. I go after school. I'm filing. I'm doing whatever. I'm helping out. I eventually start delivering, and then now into operations. Was there ever a time, I think, in your life then, as a 10-year-old, 5-year-old, 10-year-old kid, where you said, this is what I want to be when I grow up? Like, or when you have a business like that, it's not. Do you understand where I'm getting?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. Were you free to be like, I want to be a policeman? Like, what did you want to be when you grew up then?
Um, you definitely have that freedom. I don't even remember what I wanted to be
Right.
honest. There's probably like a million things.
Right.
And it is hindered a little bit by the desire to help your family.
Right.
Because you see your mom and your dad, they're stressed, they're working till, I mean, every night the sun would go down,
Right.
and we knew that we still had a couple more hours
Right.
to go, so you want to help out and you want to be there. The freedom was definitely there. I think it was more like, I want to do anything other than this, which
Right.
is usually what kids are
Wow. Right.
thinking
Yeah.
of.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah.
Okay. And so there was a time then, I think, that you decided you wanted to pursue something else. And right, you traveled to New York.
Mhm.
Talk to us a little bit about that. That was a couple of years ago. What was that you were doing or pursuing at that time? And how'd you end up back with the family business? Like,
Well,
all roads lead home,
yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about that.
I wanted to pursue anything involved with music because I love music. I used to play the guitar. I listen to movie soundtracks a lot of times instead of the latest album. I'll
Yeah.
be like Prince of Egypt, here we go,
Right.
or something
Right.
like that. And then I love video game soundtracks as well, so I listen to that for like homework study, and so it's always been a part of my life. So I figured, all right, let me get into something like that. And so I went to New York and studied audio engineering,
Okay.
which I absolutely fell in love with. I really, really like the back end of music creation and kind of understanding how that music is developed and how it's recorded and
Right.
the history of it. Yeah, so I pursued that, and then I ended up going to the Institute of Audio Research, where I aced all my classes, which I'm very proud of because when I was younger, I was not a very good student
Yeah. Were you like
at all.
surprised at any time? Like when you say that, because I say the same thing. Like, I forgot that I was smart at some point, and not just not to brag that I'm smart. I actually forgot. So when
Mhm.
I went to college and I made my first A, I was like, is that me?
Right.
Did that happen to you?
It did. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I thought I was going to go there and be like the worst student in class. I thought I was going to perform the worst and have D's and E's like I used to,
Right.
And when I didn't, it made me feel really proud and just got me more excited
Yeah.
for pursuing that and then continuing those grades and keeping them coming. Like, yeah, I want to show my teachers, I want to show my mentors that I am willing to do this, and I do want to pursue this
Right.
to make a living and have it kind of transform my life, then become a part of that industry.
Yeah.
For sure.
So how was that experience being that far from home, but New York City? Like there's Cayman and then there's New York City. Like, there's some middle stuff. Like, what is that, right? How was that?
It was pretty jarring. When I first got there, like I was pretty scared because obviously if you grow up in Cayman, you're just thinking, all right, New York City. What's the first thing that comes to mind? Crime,
Right. Mugging.
muggings,
Right.
drugs,
Right.
all kinds of unsavory things.
All wrong.
Yeah, so you're on the E train and it's your first day there, and you're like, oh, okay, let me hide my jewelry.
Right.
Let me cover up. Let me just stick to myself. But I think New York City has changed so much.
And you quickly find out that that's not so.
Not the case at all. Not the case at all. It's such a cool city, and yeah, you do run into that, but it's not. It doesn't threaten you if you don't push it. Like you have the ability to leave and walk away and avoid those types of situations.
Right.
So that's really the key, is that it can be just a really amazing city, and it is an amazing city. I miss it every day. I love New York so much.
It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
It's beautiful in its own beautiful way.
Yeah.
Because I know visiting there, I remember I lived in New York when I was a little girl for a few years, and I went back as a teenager, and I just feel like the older that I get, the noisier it gets.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason, it's a very noisy city. Like,
absolutely.
It's the truth. It's a city that does not sleep.
Yeah, definitely. I think a couple of times I called my family, and the first thing they asked me is, how do you sleep with all those sirens going off
Right.
in the background? It's constant.
Yeah.
Like 3 o'clock in the morning, you just hear them whizzing by.
Yeah.
Or for some reason, someone's going through like a breakup over the phone at 4 a.m. and you're thinking, what is going on?
Yeah.
Why is this happening?
But I mean, the other part of that is that they're just living their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And so I think sadly, where now we just talk about the pandemic a little bit, like where that affected New York, I think like that was so tragic for me, that city just seemed to be almost like the mecca for the negativity, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. And because it's so huge too.
It like sucked the life out of the city.
Yeah.
Because New York is all about persevering through, adversity.
Right.
And having the strength to push on. And when the pandemic came, it was like, man, everything just shut down.
Yeah.
So all the bodegas, all the corner stores, all the little shops that you used to go to.
Yeah.
And that's what New York is about having that little hole in the wall that you found and only you know about, and that's your spot.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I go there to get my coffee. And the Korean lady, she only charges me $2.50 and she gives me like an extra large.
Right.
And all of that kind of came to a halt, and it was very sad to see.
I think you had a favorite fried chicken place too, didn't you?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, you have to. You have to.
You gotta have that survival food.
Yeah, definitely. Stuff. And you got to know your area. Someone will say like, oh yeah, there's a great one up on close to the J train. J train? I'm not going to the J train.
Right.
No way. So you have to have your spot.
Yeah, that's something. So, okay, after that, now you finished up and you decided you wanted to do that, but then you ended up back here. And of course, I guess putting things on hold a little bit for this new career that you think I'm going to do. And then you end up back in family business.
Yeah.
And then what happened?
Well, I originally decided to do that because I saw the way that the music industry was shifting, and I didn't like it.
Wow.
I didn't like
the
direction.
Did you have a premonition?
Sort of.
Yeah. Strange, huh?
Yeah. It came to me in a dream. No,
I was there. I was believing you.
Yeah. No, it was actually a phone call. Okay. I was on the phone with my mother, and she was telling me about something that was going on in the company.
Okay.
And I remember thinking, and I had done some programming courses at that point, because when you do music business, they teach you about building a website for your artists and how to promote them and how to shoot videos, how to edit them.
Okay.
And she said something, and I remember thinking immediately, I think I know how to change that, how to turn that into a digital platform, how to take that idea that's giving you a problem and make it not a problem.
Oh, wow. Okay. That's what they call that transferable skills. That's what they call that now, right? That you can, no matter what the job is, but it's what you're learning on it that you can take and transfer to anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's good. So you were able to think about, okay, I can do something for this company that's been doing the same thing since 1994.
Yeah, essentially.
Yeah.
And
because we're like that. When we if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It is like that, and especially in this industry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Having my parents be from a different era as well, and kind of not understanding the direction that technology is going into, it helps. But that's a good thing because that's how I identify those problems in the first place.
Right.
By someone simply telling me, I can't think of another way to do this. And then boom, there you go. That's my new job.
Yeah.
My new job is thinking of ways to do that better.
Okay.
And that's essentially what I do now. I am the operations development manager, but I'm chief technology officer as well. So I'm in charge of all of the technology that's involved with the company. So computers, software. We have contracts with other companies to do our antivirus and stuff like that. Things that I don't really take care of, but otherwise, it's all about taking those pieces of the business and transforming them into platforms and applications and cloud-based products that now I can offer to customers or anyone that wants to use them.
Right.
And so when I started doing that, it felt really good.
Yeah.
It felt really good to be able to do that. Almost as good as being behind the board in the studio.
Okay.
So I did enjoy that.
Yeah. So almost like it just kind of breathed some new life into you, and in terms of the family business that you're like, I want to do something else.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
What do you think what are some of the changes you think that you've brought to the business that that's been so impactful, and maybe how did it change things?
I would say the biggest one is probably.
And I'm not saying to tell you tricks of the trade because I don't want your competitors listening.
Yeah, no.
Okay.
The biggest one would be probably taking the foundations of how the service works, which is we take your paperwork, anything that you order, and we present that to customs to say, here's what this person wants to bring into the island. This is what they've paid for it. Now, we presented it in a manner that's perfect for you to do your work and then present a duty charge.
Okay.
We process, right now it's not as much as it was. I would say 2018, we were processing anywhere between 350 to 500 shipments per week.
Wow, okay.
So a lot of paperwork. That was probably the biggest impact, is not seeing giant stacks of paper and watching, watching like a supply company like Kirk Office or Office Supply bring in boxes and boxes and boxes of paper that I knew was about to just be printed, and then someone makes a mistake, and then now 40 pages are wasted. So the biggest impact was definitely taking that paper out of the picture and turning that into a digital platform.
Oh, wow.
And that unlocks so many possibilities.
Nice. So it's saving the planet too.
Yeah, the environmental impact is pretty huge.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've seen more than like 1 or 2 boxes in the office, and it used to be like 20.
Yeah.
And each box had like reams of paper, so it's like so much paper.
Well, I mean, that company's not happy with you right now. But hey.
Yeah. No, you know what? It ends up transforming because we actually purchase all of our tablets from them now.
Oh, okay.
So we're just flipping through the digital pages, and they're still happy that we make those purchases.
Okay. So. All right. It'll figure itself out somehow, but at least, like you said, I mean, that's also thinking about storage of those things, right? Keeping up with those things, because paper is stuff that you have to store, right? You have to do like actual files versus digital files is very different, because it becomes really crazy. I know the government has like the archives. It's a whole thing where everything has to be taken to the archives and take the archives to the paper files. So yeah, so that's really good. And it's not affected, that sort of stuff didn't affect manpower though, did it?
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. All it did really is just unlock certain efficiencies, and that allowed us to just push those technologies even further. So yeah, it didn't really affect the amount of people that we needed to hire. It didn't affect the type of employee we needed to hire. It was really just something natural almost. It felt
Yeah.
so seamless, that transition.
Nice.
It took a while for me to work out the bugs.
Yeah.
But when it went live, it was really awesome.
So
It
is
felt
your
really
family
good.
pretty impressed?
I think so.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I think they're proud of what I've done and where I've taken it. And the crazy thing is that we just started, really. You know, even though that was a major portion of it, we still want to continue moving forward and offer more and more tools, more utility, more efficiency for the general population.
Yeah.
Offer them something that they wish they've had this whole time, and now we're able to take that and say, here, I'm giving it to you.
Okay. Now, quickly before we go to break, tell us what is a customs broker?
To put it simply, a customs broker is as a broker is the middleman between you as a consumer and Her Majesty's Customs, who does all the importation, taxes, and duties. And we basically just decipher your documents.
Okay.
If you had any issue wondering, or wondering what it is that you ordered, how to figure that out, what code to use, that's our specialty. That's what we do.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so it just makes it easier for the customer.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You just
Especially
have
if you're
one person to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. It can be pretty tricky.
Oh, yeah.
It's not easy to navigate.
It can be. It's very time consuming. You wait around a lot. Sometimes you make a lot of mistakes. You don't know what to write. It's all kinds of things. And you'll go to this guy and they might send you to another one. And now I think they're dealing with it's a very different process there as well. So I think for a broker, it probably makes things a lot easier when you all go with a stack of customers because you've already filled it out exactly what's needed, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
it's
they're,
much
they're
easier.
probably a little more forgiving with the companies too than the individuals because they tell you to sit down right now. Go fill that out properly.
Yep.
This is wrong. Go sit down. Like, I've been waiting for the last 45 minutes.
Exactly. Sometimes you can be there the whole day.
Yeah.
And that's what we do is we basically just save you a whole lot of time.
Yeah.
So you don't have to worry about any of that.
All right. Now you actually don't have like mailboxes though. Like you don't have like a U.S. address. Like you're not that person, right?
No.
Okay.
No.
That's something. That's a whole different animal.
Yeah, definitely. That's like postal stuff. Courier imports have their own codes too, so we don't really deal in that realm. It's more anything and everything. If you want to bring down building materials, we'll offload the containers too.
Yeah.
So yeah, the mailboxes thing, that's more like courier postage. With
Yeah.
us, it's anything you can dream of, pretty much.
Yeah, car too.
Cars too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you clear cars as well.
We clear cars. We license them. We deliver them if you need to your house.
Wow.
We load containers with them. So we know a lot when it comes to what goes into shipping cars. So we offer that consultation as well to protect your vehicle as it's leaving.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
so you also do consultations.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So your type of business is not just to bring stuff in; it's also just to ship stuff out as well.
Yeah, we don't do exports
Oh, okay.
currently. A lot of things changed,
Yeah.
last year, so we've kind of shifted away from that. We want to improve it before we open it back up again, so we don't currently do that. But if you call us, you can always get our insight,
All right.
and yeah, it'll help you out.
Sounds good. You're listening to Straight Talk Drive at 5. This is our Hot Topics Tuesday, but today we're actually highlighting a young Caymanian, Sean Ebanks, who is talking about, just his journey. His family owns SICA, which is the Cayman Islands Customs Agency, and he's been in there since he was knee-high to a grasshopper, and came back with some fancy schmancy knowledge to get things digital and online and all kinds of stuff, and stressed out his parents for a second, but it's all smooth sailing now. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Sean, we will continue this conversation when I get back. from break because I want to talk about the kind of the community impact really on even that industry shipping because we're all in this pandemic has changed our lives. So I wanted to talk a little bit about that and just some of the trends and things that you've seen and maybe you can give us some hope somewhere along the line.
Okay.
All right.
There's hope.
Okay. Good stuff. We will be back. You stay tuned. There's more Straight Talk coming straight to you right after these messages. We'll be right back. I'm Catherine Tyson, your host. And 2 seconds, we'll be back. And good afternoon. Welcome back to Straight Talk. This is your Drive at 5 show. Catherine Tyson, your host. Thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. We are in the studio with Sean Ebanks. He is a young Caymanian that I am highlighting this afternoon. We're talking about his journey. His family is the owners of the Cayman Islands Customs Agency, which is, called SICA. That's what I know it as. Been around since 1994. And customs brokers, and we're just talking about, you being there from the time you were a little kid, and not knowing what you wanted to be when you grew up, but you didn't want to do that, but right there, and there's your family. I'm sure your family's quite happy that you're back now and doing some good stuff. Yeah. How easy is it to work with your parents and getting them to change the way that they think? Is it easy?
With the right approach, yes.
Okay.
In general, no.
Okay.
Because, you're trying to tell your mom that you know better than she does.
Yeah.
That ain't happening.
Yeah.
But if you construct your, I guess you could say, not an argument, but sort of, if you do well to build research and you have everything together and you say, okay, well, here's the reasons why, and you build a presentation almost, then yeah, it's definitely easy.
Yeah.
Because my mom's an incredibly smart person, so when she sees something, she knows, and she goes, oh, "Okay, this guy's onto something."
Yeah.
So yes and no.
Yeah, we kind of get stuck in our ways sometimes too, and we don't want to let go. We don't want to do something that we don't know. So if this is a sure thing, it's been working. This is what we want to stick to, and then you guys are like, "Ah, oh, come on." I mean, this is it. I do it with the computer, the phone. I'm doing something, and my children will be like, "What are you doing? You just need to do that." And I'm like, "No, no, no. I'm gonna do it." And it'll be like 5 steps, and they're like, "You just gotta press that one button."
Yep.
I'll be so mad about that one button. I'm like, I know this 5-step thing.
Mhm.
Just leave me with the 5 steps.
Yeah.
And then somehow I'll be like, oh, it was just that one little button. Okay, let me try it. Oh, look, it works. It works, So I
Mhm.
think, yeah, just like you said, you gotta, be gentle and, present it as if it's a presentation, right?
Yeah, and that was important for me too, because it shouldn't be that I'm asking my mom or my dad for something. Like
Right.
this is the owner and operator of a business.
Right, exactly.
So it was important for me to make that switch from, being a kid and saying like, oh hey, look at my project. I want you
Right.
to say that you love it. And it's more, yeah, as a business owner, I want to be able to convince you that this is the right thing to do.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. And you can trust me that it's not, it's not personal, it's business. This is what's going
Yeah.
to be more efficient. So now, and speaking of that now, obviously, we've all been affected by the pandemic. Last year, you mentioned before the break that you had about 350 to 500 shipments a week, I
Mhm.
think you were talking about. And you were talking about just the paper that you changed that type of situation. But I just heard that number and I thought, how has this business been affected since last year then with the COVID-19 pandemic? And kind of what are the impacts you think on the community that it has had? And what are some of the things that, is it improving? How are you feeling about that? I mean, obviously, there's lots of talk about, we're opening up. So we're phasing, tourism, right? To bring people back in. And there's the scare of people, having COVID in our community. And, let's just lock down. Let's just go back to our safety. I mean, obviously, you've kind of been riding out this storm yourself, especially as a part of this business, right?
Yeah, yeah. It was tough at first to kind of know what direction to go in. I think that also helped because you require some sort of pullback to know what direction to move forward sometimes. And so what happened with supply chain is that all of the companies in the industry, we ended up having entire sectors just pulled from the market all at once.
Wow. Yeah.
And so you're losing like 30 to 40% of your business
Right.
within just a few months, which is really scary.
Yeah.
And so you have to innovate and you have to adapt to that situation. So that's what a lot of supply chain companies and anyone in the supply chain industry, that's what they've been doing is finding different ways to adapt to these situations.
Right.
So there is a hopeful side to it because all of the, I would say all of the scare and the anxiety that there was last year about what direction that would take us, like whether you'd be able to go to a store and find something on the shelf
Right.
that you really need.
Right.
I think at this point that's kind of a non-factor
Yeah.
at this point because we've just developed ways to tackle those issues from last year up until this point, and we're in a pretty healthy position.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think, I mean, if I'm kind of understanding you correctly, what you just said, is it that people, that just the general public, the community itself, has learned to also be creative and adjust? Is that what you're saying as well? Not just business too. So before, when we were kind of dependent and being able to find it on the shelves, now we've actually found other ways to get it to us. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
And so the
Yeah.
shift of the loss that you might have experienced, maybe there was a gain from another area. Would that be correct?
Absolutely correct.
Okay.
Yes. I think a lot of people that were in the tourism industry found other avenues. And what we found is that, someone walked through the door that we recognized as someone working, let's say they had like a little jet ski operation or something, and then they were bringing in cell phones, and they're saying, oh, well, I sell these now,
Right.
or some other type of product. And um, which is great to see that there's other ways for people to earn a living and put food on the table And again, kind of similar to how I did, switching from one thing to another,
Right.
then they also find like I actually love doing this. You know,
Right.
maybe I'll do this full time now instead of being into water sport and stuff like that. So yeah, it's definitely adapting. People in the community are definitely learning to adapt and how to change and opening new businesses. And so there's so many people that even like just have trade and business licenses for things that you wouldn't expect them to do.
Right.
And it's great to hear them do it. It's like, oh, awesome, you sell T-shirts now or something. Like, yeah, it's great. I'm enjoying it.
Well, the old people have the saying where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to keep moving. Like you have to adjust. That's what life is about.
Mhm.
And when you're older and you've kind of been around and you've had your downturns, you've seen the downturns and you've seen it gone back up. And so you just know if you're on a downturn, it's just a matter of time. You just ride the wave.
Yep.
And you're gonna get there. You're gonna get to safety. Now, what are your thoughts in terms of, I guess, the changes that we kind of have to make then to adjust to uh, opening our borders back? Like, what can you shed some light? Can you kind of give us a little hope in terms of, there's a lot of fear. There's a lot of people talking about, lockdown. Don't, just keep us safe.
Mhm.
But yet, when you see the rest of the world is they're living, they're moving along, aren't they?
Yeah. They
Yeah. So
definitely are.
we're kind of in this little comfortable bubble,
Mhm.
but realistically, like just as a business person, can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure. I think what we've seen is that when you take the steps to adapt to these issues, and you're able to prove that you can pull it off, and you start introducing that to more and more people, then they start to realize, oh, this is actually kind of nice. It is kind of nice that I don't have to step foot in your building, and I can still do everything I need to do to continue my own business or my own life. Um, and with a lot of other companies adapting to that or introducing those types of products, then it becomes really a non-issue where you can do things that used to require you to be there face to face. And now you can still do that without even seeing that person.
Yeah.
So there's definitely hope in terms of, opening up the borders again and being able to operate and to provide services, provide commodities to the general public in a way that's still safe, in a way that's still sort of old school in terms of we still have that charm, but with modern utilization of technology.
Yeah.
And I think that's important that we continue moving in that direction because it seems like it's a continual thing and it's not just going to stop tomorrow. So we might as well just push for it.
Right.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you this question. It's really, really, it's very important for me to get your opinion in your age group and have you be a representative for your age group right now. I don't know if they're going to like it who's listening, but since we're here, what I do know are older people, like people, 65 and above, are afraid, very afraid of, what's happening around us. They're afraid. I've talked to a lot of them. They don't know. They're unsure, about what's happening tomorrow, what's going to happen next, and they're afraid. And I think people that are more middle age, they're confused.
Mhm.
It's more like, what is going on? Like, you know what I mean? When is this going to stop? Where is it going to stop? What is happening? I feel like younger people are not afraid. Like, can you speak to that? I mean, are you guys afraid? What are you all thinking right now?
Um, Definitely not afraid. Maybe it's living in New York for 4 years. I'm
You're
like,
the J train.
yeah, I'm like, come on, like you can't scare me with this. It could be that, but yeah, I don't think anyone's afraid necessarily. At least generally my age, because we know that there's a lot of other stuff out there that's dangerous that isn't good for us.
Like,
I mean,
what?
just ask the guys that are on the bypass right now going 80 miles per hour.
Yeah.
Weaving in and out of traffic. They're my age and they're doing it. So we're a lot of different things that we do. We're a little adventurous.
Right.
So we definitely don't have that fear in general. I think I could be wrong. I
Yeah.
don't speak for everybody,
Yeah.
but yeah, I think the general sentiment is that we should just keep moving forward and try to make our life better,
Yeah.
because there's only one way we can do that, and things are changing around us. Especially if you look at like rental markets and
Right.
housing markets and all these other industries that are just booming.
Oh, it's losing its mind.
It's
like
insane.
I don't know when it crashes. I just warn people, be prepared. Just put some money aside.
Oh yeah.
Save some money, because it's gonna change, and when it changes, it is gonna be a hot mess.
Yeah, for sure.
I can tell you that.
So you have two options. Like, I could either be afraid and stay away from this thing, but then once that bill comes in, you
Right.
gotta hustle.
Right.
You gotta get right back into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so you don't really have time to make that choice. You can't sit
Yeah.
around wondering, like,
Yeah.
oh, you got to pay that mortgage,
Yep.
whatever the case might be. So yeah, we got to get to it.
Yeah, and be careful of the offers of skipping mortgages and skipping payments and
Yeah.
stuff like that. Be careful of that too,
For
because
sure.
that 5 months, 6 months feels good, and then at the end of that 5, 6 months, then you owe that 5 or 6 months. You know what I
Right,
mean?
yeah.
And nothing is free. That's
Right.
the
No,
thing.
or it goes into like a balloon payment at
That's
the
the
end of it
thing
or
that I
something.
know. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. But I think sometimes, and I think about what's happening around us, and I think of young people. I just think you guys are sometimes, not in a negative way, but desensitized a little bit to real trauma, almost because of social media. So you get to see like a whole stabbing, like that's
Mhm.
nothing. You can take out your phone, you're videotaping it. Next thing you know, you sent it to thousands of people, or it's on your Facebook, and it's like, hello. So it's
Yeah.
almost like that's not real. You know what I mean?
Definitely, I've seen
Yeah.
some horrible stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just by browsing the internet.
So I think being
Haunting.
desensitized is this natural thing, like, come on, it's nothing.
Yeah,
Like,
for sure.
no, it's something. It really is something.
Yeah. Yeah, and maybe you don't know it until you see it in real life. Again, going back to New York, once you see it, then it's like, okay, now I know what this really looks like, and I
Right.
really don't like it.
And it's pretty serious.
Yeah, when you see it on a
Exactly.
computer screen, it's like, whatever, it's not. Yeah, it's
Exactly.
pretty crazy the first time, but you see it 20 times, you go, that's fine, I've seen that before.
Yeah.
But not in real life.
Yeah.
No.
In real life, you see it's a real person. It's affecting real people.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I always say, just pay attention.
Mhm.
Don't listen to the I guess all the hype. Don't listen to all the pandemonium or whatever. But just pay attention yourself. Do some research. Look and see what's really out there. Use your brain. You have a brain.
Yeah. Stay informed.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just make your moves based off of that, and you can
Yeah.
only make decisions that you feel are right for yourself. So also think for yourself and take that route. I
Yeah.
think that's really important too.
Yeah, for sure. So you're a product of the Ken Islands Prep School
Yes.
the whole life?
No, I went to prep when I was I think it was like 11, and I started in grade 6.
Okay.
So I did grade 6 in primary school, and then we did grade 6 again, because I think
Okay.
switching from the local system to the British system
Yeah.
or something. That's what
So
that's
was
what
it
when I was a kid.
West Bay Primary?
Yeah, West Bay Primary.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, which, by the way, I said I was a terrible student, but actually in West Bay Primary I got straight A's.
Of course.
Yeah.
I know. I mean, this is me when I realized that as well in college. I remember in primary school, it was perfect, honor roll. But somehow in the middle, that I don't know if sometimes if people lose their footing and then they realize it somewhere along the way.
Yeah.
And then you were at Sika,
Yeah.
playing in the parking lot or filing.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't exactly studying.
Working until late
Yeah.
hours. So it's good that your mom and dad get to the benefit of it now.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we're always trying to help them out as much as we can. So we're paying back that debt.
Absolutely. I mean, what better way to do that? I mean, to kind of stand side by side with your parents who have really worked very hard to build something that's
Mhm.
amazing for the community as well.
Yeah.
Because it's a great resource.
It is. It
Yeah.
is. Without it, I mean, I don't know what we'd be doing because everything would shut down. Retail would shut down.
Yeah.
You wouldn't be able to purchase products. So the same people that own those companies wouldn't be able to do anything else. They wouldn't be able to tune into the radios because they can't get radios. If you have nothing on island, then it's just a disaster. So yeah, it is a great resource, and really thank God that we're able to still operate in a similar fashion to how we used to.
Yeah.
That it hasn't changed too much.
Yeah. It sounds like you love what you do.
I do.
Sounds like it. Sounds like you love what you do for the community, because that was a great speech. If ever you're going to run for politics, you just want to go listen back to this one.
Yeah, maybe.
No, that was great, because it is true. It's what you do offer the community, in assistance. That's really great. And you just said something that was really important, and it was so. I just think it was such an eye opener. We really are a place in this world that does not produce our own things.
Yep.
So we are dependent always on what's coming in from
Absolutely.
somewhere. Am I correct in that?
You are.
Yeah. And that's a pretty serious position to be in, especially in the middle of any type of crisis.
Yeah, definitely. Like you end up being sort of a gatekeeper
Yeah.
to everyone's livelihood.
Yeah.
So, if I have 1,500 active customers, they rely on me to do what I do.
Right.
To be able to keep their businesses afloat.
Right.
And so, yeah, it becomes a really important part of how the economy operates, and everyone's ability to pay their rent, pay their bills, and do what they have to do, because the minute that stops, the whole thing just goes down.
Absolutely.
And I don't think that's going to happen, thankfully.
Yeah.
It's very unlikely.
Well, luckily, I have this, since today is Tuesday Hot Topics. I will mention this to the listening public. I found this on CNS, that the lockdown is not a consideration. That is from our own premier. I know there's a press conference might be happening now, that people will be able to go back and look at later on when they get home, because they might be on their commute home, to see what was said. I usually go back and check it out as well. But Premier Wayne Panton has confirmed that there will be no countryside lockdown following news that a student at Georgetown Primary with no travel history or contact with a positive traveler has tested positive for COVID-19. Speaking to the country Tuesday morning via social media, Panton said an extra wall of protection is now required, with stricter public health measures such as mask mandates and surveillance testing. But based on the information we have at this time, we are not considering a lockdown. So I think that's good news. For those that were worried about that, that there was going to be an absolute lockdown. Protecting children was government's priority. He stressed we have had no shortage of reminders over the past week that the global pandemic is far from over. Even here in the Cayman Islands, no doubt, complacency has slowly crept in among us, and as we changed our behaviors, including our compliance with the regulations, there should be no surprise that we have seen the tide quickly shift. And he goes on to talk about COVID-19 positive cases were a worrying trend, and different things like that. I just think, it's with us, isn't it? It's with us, meaning us as a world citizens. It's all around us.
It absolutely is. I think being 100% safe is impossible.
Yeah.
So the best thing to do is just, listen to the experts and be diligent in how you do your daily tasks and live your life day to day, and just be safe as safe as you can. But yeah, there's a lot of repercussions to that lockdown that I think a lot of people don't see, and especially in my industry, this whole supply chain thing.
Yeah.
There's sort of like a backlog of a business that hasn't operated.
Yeah.
And what's going to happen is when things open up again, there's going to be a rubber band effect.
Yeah.
And so that worries me a little bit, because what will happen is you might need to purchase something for your company, and now I have 50 other people gunning for that spot.
Yeah.
and you might lose it.
Okay.
So I think it is good that we continue to move forward. I mean, obviously, I'm just a regular person. I'm not an expert. I don't have any background in medicine or anything like that. It's just
Right.
a normal person talking. But I think that is a good plan to avoid a countrywide lockdown. Like we should just
Yeah.
find a way to keep moving forward.
I think an example I have is, with my children, I had them sew, sweater on and, clean and the socks and the hat and everything. And the minute they went anywhere near any type of dirt, they would be falling apart. And I've seen children that people rolling in dirt, like
Yeah.
just mud puddles,
Mhm.
and they got nothing.
Yeah.
So I think, you know what? Sometimes the closer you keep people, the more tied up or clothed up and closed up and safe. And yes, nothing's gonna happen. Sometimes you got to roll in that dirt.
Yeah. Well, that's what happened with
I
antibiotics.
believe it.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's how your immune system is toughened up, right?
Yeah,
like absolutely, that's how the antibodies are built. So I truly believe that, real. So I think we need to just think about that. Like, look at the rest of the world. And yes, we were in this little bubble, and that was great. But let's be realistic. We start talking lockdowns and stuff like that. We start talking about how it's affecting everybody's life and our mental health. Because that we cannot, excuse that for a second. Sean Ebanks, Cayman Islands Customs Agency, thank you so much for coming in, talking to us a little bit about, just your journey. And I'm very proud of you. Congratulations on your journey. Sounds like you're right where you belong. And it sounds like you can do this with your eyes closed. And if you're even across the world, you can still help that family out doing different things.
I can.
Because of what you've kind of created.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I got one question for you. What do you want to be when you grow up?
A policeman.
You got time.
Yeah.
You still have time.
No, I want to be a musician.
Yeah, you do. Or are you a musician?
I can't say I am.
Yeah. Well, what would make that? What would make you able to say you're a musician? What does that mean? What does that mean to you?
To me, that means being able to play a gig and have people show up and be a part of the music you create. To me, that's being a musician. Because if you're playing for nobody, you're just playing music.
Have you ever done a gig?
Never.
Really?
Yeah, never.
So you're just kind of a closet musician at this point.
Yeah, I was practicing and I was trying to be that person, and then I met someone, and you can't be like a scraggly haired, listening to like death metal all the time. That needs to change sometimes, So
you gotta fix your hair.
Yeah, you gotta fix your hair. You gotta
clean up your act.
Yeah. So, but there's still time.
I hear she's a singer. So hey, there's always
really
that. Yeah, pretty awesome.
She's amazing.
Thank you so much, Sean, for joining me this afternoon. For real. It was a pleasure having you in the studio, chatting to you about, just your journey. Kind of, almost being, I guess, born into it a little bit or thrown into it, and but still, being able to embrace it, because I think that is so important, and to value the hard work that your parents put into something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And be able to add value to that.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
It feels good to be able to do it.
Yeah,
so.
That's good. Yeah. And that's what's making the world go round.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cayman Islands Customs Agency, they are your brokers, your custom brokers. You don't have to stand in those lines.
Yep.
Right? And you can go ahead and go Amazon crazy if you want.
Exactly.
Or whatever it is. And you guys will take care of it.
Yeah. We have a lot of major tools coming out, a lot of awesome applications that we're going to be introducing to the community and to our customers and, everyone else. So there's going to be a lot of really nice things coming out.
Nice.
A lot of shiny products.
Christmas is coming too, so that's going to be a good time, right? You get a lot, very busy during Christmas?
Absolutely.
I know.
It's going to be insane.
I know it is.
If I had to leave today with one piece of advice for everyone listening, it would be order your Christmas presents now.
Start shopping now.
Start shopping now.
Yeah, start shop, because that December, hoping you're going to get them for Christmas Day might be difficult.
Absolutely.
Yeah, especially with the, not able to travel as much. I mean, as somebody said, they miss the smell of Walmart. I read that on Facebook. I was like, it has a smell?
I guess so.
I didn't know. But yeah,
Yeah.
go on Walmart.com and get those things in to see
Yeah.
so you can get ready to put them under the tree.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well,
Really,
thank
really
you.
appreciate that. And lots of good luck to you. I'm sure whatever you put your mind to, whatever you decide to do, you're gonna do it. And you're gonna be great at it.
I'll take that. Thank you.
All right.
Yeah.
Say hi to your parents for me, Karen and Alfred.
Hi, Mom. Hi, Dad.
You say hi to them for me when you go. Thank you
They're
all so
listening.
much for joining me this afternoon. That was your Straight Talk 5 to 5 show. And that was Sean Ebanks you were listening to from Cayman Islands Customs Agency. And yeah, I can't do this without you. So thank you for tuning in. This is Catherine Tyson, your host. I will talk with you again tomorrow. It will be Wellness Wednesdays, and I am looking forward to you tuning in. Take care and have a great evening.
Connection to culture.